I lost my house because I tried to save my sister. Hello, I am deeply thankful for this space, the anonymous plug. Please call me Kemi. I am 38 years old and I live in Lagos. My story is about how trying to help the person I love most, my own sister, led me to lose everything I had built. For many years I worked hard. I didn't travel out of Nigeria. I stayed here, focused on my business, importing electronics from China. By the time I was 35, I was finally comfortable. My biggest achievement was buying a beautiful 3-bedroom bungalow in a good area of Lagos, all paid for. No debt. It was my pride. I loved my life. I was single, happy, and I had my family. My younger sister, Bimpe, was my best friend. We grew up together and I always looked out for her. I paid her school fees through university. Bimpe was beautiful, smart, but she always chose the wrong men. When she finished school, she met a man named Femi. Femi was smooth and ambitious, but he didn't seem honest. He started a construction company and it looked like he was making big money fast. Bimpe loved him completely. They married 2 years ago and I was happy for her, even though I had my doubts about Femi. The first signs of trouble came 6 months after their wedding. Bimpe called me, crying. She said Femi's business was in trouble. He had taken a large loan for a project that failed because the government canceled the contract. They owed the bank over 45 million Naira. I was shocked. I told her to get a lawyer, but Femi said lawyers would only make it worse. He said the bank was threatening to seize everything they owned, including their small shop where Bimpe sold clothes. Femi was panicking, begging Bimpe not to tell me the full truth. But Bimpe told me everything. She said Femi needed a bridging loan, a small amount of money to pay the interest on the big loan just to buy time. He needed 15 million Naira quickly. I didn't have that kind of money sitting in my account. I told them no. It was too risky. I told them to sell their car and pay part of the debt. That night Bimpe came to my house. She didn't cry, she just sat on my sofa looking defeated. She said, "Kemi, if Femi loses his business, he will lose everything. He will fall into depression. Our marriage will end. Please, you are the only one who can save me and save our family." That sentence, "save our family," broke me. I couldn't bear to see my sister suffer or lose her marriage. I decided I had to help, but I had no cash. Femi came to me the next day with his proposal. He said, "Kemi, I don't want your money, I just need collateral." He said if I could use my house papers, my certificate of occupancy, as collateral for a 15 million Naira bank loan, he would pay the loan back in exactly 6 months. He showed me documents for a new, huge contract he was about to sign. It looked real. It looked safe. I knew the risk. I knew what I was risking, but I looked at my sister's face full of hope, and I remembered everything I had done for her. I signed the documents. I signed my house away for my sister's marriage. The bank approved the loan quickly. The 15 million Naira went straight to Femi's account. I didn't take a dime. Femi promised me daily updates and copies of all payment receipts. I felt a huge weight lift off my chest, believing I had done the right thing for my family. For the first 2 months, everything was fine. Femi sent the monthly interest payments to the bank, and he sent me copies of the receipts. He and Bimpe came to my house often, thanking me, treating me like a hero. Bimpe hugged me and said I had saved her life. But then things began to change. In the 3rd month, Femi was late with the interest payment. He called me, apologizing, saying the new contract payment was delayed by 2 weeks. I was nervous, but I understood delays happen in business. He paid eventually, but it was late. In the 4th month, Femi stopped sending the receipts completely. When I called him, he would not answer. He started giving excuses. "My phone is bad," or "I am on site with no network." I started calling the bank myself. The bank told me the payment was made, but they seemed annoyed by my calls. In the 5th month, the worst happened. Bimpe stopped calling me. When I went to her shop, she was often closed. When I went to her house, she was not available. She was avoiding me. I was terrified. I was afraid to call the bank. I finally called the bank. I asked about the loan. The manager, Mr. Idu, was very formal. He told me that no payment had been made for 2 months. I told him, "That's impossible. Femi promised me he paid." Mr. Idu said, "Femi's company is in default, Kemi. The principal amount is now due." He reminded me that since the loan was secured by my house, the bank had the right to begin the foreclosure process. I couldn't breathe. I drove straight to Bimpe's house. I found them packing bags, big, expensive luggage. I walked into the living room and the furniture was half covered. I looked at Bimpe, my sister, and I looked at Femi. Femi looked nervous, but Bimpe wouldn't meet my eyes. I shouted, "Femi, what is happening? The bank says you haven't paid." Femi sighed and said, "Kemi, the contract failed again. It's bad luck. But don't worry, we sold some assets and we are going to travel out of the country just for a fresh start. We will send you money from Canada." I looked at Bimpe, my sweet sister who I had saved. I said, "Bimpe, look at me. Did you know he didn't pay? Did you know they were going to leave the country without paying this loan, without telling me the house was in danger?" Bimpe looked at the floor and whispered, "Femi said you would understand. It was the only way." It was the ultimate betrayal. They had been planning this trip for weeks, probably months. They let me believe everything was fine while the bank was preparing to take my house. I realized Femi had never planned to pay the loan back. He planned to use my house as his ticket out of Nigeria. I left their house shaking. I couldn't stop crying. I realized I had not saved my sister. I had given her husband a free escape route. A week later, I received the official papers from the bank. The bank was giving me 30 days to pay the full 15 million Naira, or they would take possession of my bungalow. I sold my remaining stock. I borrowed from friends, but I could only raise 5 million Naira. It wasn't enough. I never saw Bimpe or Femi again. They traveled out 2 days before the bank's final deadline. My sister didn't even call to say goodbye. She sent a WhatsApp message saying, "I am so sorry, Kemi. I will make it up to you when we settle down. Please forgive me." I didn't reply. The bank seized my house. The humiliation was total. My friends and neighbors all knew. I had to move out, taking only a few clothes and memories. I am currently renting a small apartment, starting my life over at 38, with nothing but the debt of selling off my business. The pain of the loss is huge, but the pain of the betrayal is much heavier. How could my sister watch me sign that paper, knowing she would run away and leave me homeless? I have blocked her number. Every time I think of calling her, I remember standing on the street, watching the bank change the locks on my beautiful house. My dilemma now is not about money, it is about forgiveness. My mother keeps calling me, begging me to forgive Bimpe. She says, "She is your sister, Kemi. Family is all we have." But how do I forgive someone who helped steal my foundation? Should I forgive Bimpe and let her back into my life when she inevitably calls from Canada? Or should I protect myself and accept that I have lost both my house and my sister forever? Please, tell me what to do.